Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tres Jolie channel. I am going to be working on my second project, making up some resin mold pieces first. I still have some of the clay ones left from my first video. I had made up extras of those. They might get painted in this video. I still have some of the clay from the kit left. But for this project, I want to work with resin. I have some quick setting resin, 10 minutes from Amazing Cast Resins. These are from my stash. And I'm going to work with them to start. Now, working with this resin is going to be on items that I'm going to paint, because this is not a non-yellowing resin. It will turn yellow with time, and I can show you real quick here. You can see the two different. This is a piece that has been made fairly recently, and this is an older resin piece. So you can see it will turn yellow. So when I'm working with this quick set Amazing Cast Resin, I do want to make sure that it's going to be on items that I'm painting over. I mean, you don't have to if you don't mind getting that yellow hue in there, but most of the time I want it just to, I use it when I want it to be painted over. Anyhow, so I'm going to move those out of the way, and this is best to work in small quantities because it is a quick set. You have a very small window of time to work with it. So I'm just going to work in this little cup a little bit at a time, and pour these. Probably make a few sets. I'm not sure how many. I'll make a few sets of the white resin, and then I'll move on to a clear resin that I want to do a little bit something different with. I'm just going to kind of go over what I've been working on. I have 3 sets of these made up with the quick epoxy, and they're just sitting over here for now. These are made with a clear epoxy, tabletop epoxy actually, and as are these. And these right here are just a couple of little molds from my stash, and I'm just pouring them in just to make sure there isn't too much waste. I don't like having to waste any. And for these, I actually was kind of experimenting, and I kind of like this frosted look they have, even though they didn't come out quite as dark. I actually mixed in some of the Inference green into this epoxy, and the last pours seem to really show it off a little bit better. I also mixed in some of the glass glitter. And I think that that's what helped. You can see it's not all the way set. This is a 24-hour set, and it's only been maybe 12 hours. It's just long enough that I could take them out. I think that adding the glitter helped with the frosted look here. So I'm just going to keep working on sets. That's what I wanted to show. I had talked about detail in my first project, and this was one of my clay ones that I had made, and this one came out pretty good, but you can see that sometimes it doesn't stay perfectly sharp, or doesn't feel quite all the way, so it gives it that more aged and worn look. Where epoxies, because they go in as a liquid, you can, well, unless you get air bubbles in there, but for the most part, you know, the detail's a lot crisper. Well, not a lot. The detail's crisper. So for this pour, I'm thinking I'm going to be working with the gold powder. No glitter in it, just because this is a bit darker. And green, but I'm gonna try something here. For the green, I'm gonna brush it in just a little bit. Not perfect. And then I'm going to pour my epoxy. There we go. I'm going to mix up my epoxy and mix in some of the gold into that epoxy. Here are those two mold pieces using the clear resin with some of the gold powder from the kit mixed into the resin, and where I had brushed in some of that iridescent green into the mold before pouring. So you can see how those came out like that. This is how they would look if they were just gold. Just like these pieces I made here with the extra resin mix. So for now, I'm just going to set those off to the side. And I want to do some gesso in a few different ways. There's my quick white resin pieces, and I'm going to do them with white gesso. And my clear pieces for my, well, they're not clear now, but the ones made with the clear resin, I am going to coat in some clear gesso, but I'm only going to do the backs. And on the bell-shaped ones, I'll do the top section here, and on the longer ones I will do the back as well as this section here in the clear gesso. I think that's only places I'm going to put that clear gesso, but that's what I'm going to be working on now, adding my gesso to my pieces. I decided to do 2 in some black gesso, as you just saw. This is the little birdie gesso that came in the May 2020 mixed media kit. So these 4 only have clear gesso on the back. These 4 have white gesso on front and back. And then these 2 are done in black gesso. And so now I'm just gonna let these finish drying. They're not completely dry yet, and I really want to make sure that that gesso is all the way dry before I come back in and start working on what I'm planning to do to decorate them, which will be using the glitter, the paints, and those powders, and possibly some of the wax from the November kit. If you got, there we go, if you'd got the November mixed media kit, there was a tube of some charcoal black matte wax in here, and I may be incorporating that onto these as well. I'm not quite sure right now. Alright, my gessos are all dry, and I'm still going to keep this out, see if I can work it in. I'm not really sure, because as I've been thinking about it, I really think this is going to be a lot more shimmery and shiny, but I'll have to see. Set these off to the side just so I can get my paper up here, because now I am going to start my painting process, adding some color here. And I'm going to start with my metallic. Actually, I'll probably end up going back and forth depending on where I'm at. But I'm basically going to be starting right now putting down some base coats. And actually, you know what? I will do that. I'm going to kind of do a mix up here. There we go. So I'm going to start with red all over these 4, and then silver all over both of these, and then some silver highlights on these 4. Pretty sure that that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So I'm just it might change as I get going, depending on how it's looking, but that's kind of the direction I'm thinking of right now. I am going to start adding the powders on here. I kind of have like a base coat of color going on. And on these, I only did the backs with the silver paint, and those are front and back, and you can really see the difference between black gesso under that red paint and a white gesso. So now, after I dry a little bit here real quick. Okay, so now I am going to use these powders, and I'm going to kind of, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like so. Okay, I'm going to put these off to the side, and I'm going to work with the gold on these. Oh, and I have these, which don't really have anything done to them. I'm still going to separate those. These are all completely paintless. And I'm going to get this towel out. Now I know that this towel is clean. It's just stained. So I'm not going to have anything resurfacing or getting reactivated for what I'm about to do, which I thought I should mention because there's going to be a lot of water involved. There we go. So I'm going to lay these out like this for right now. And apparently dry that. There we go. And get my gold powder ready. I think I'm going to brush it on and then give everything a light mist and then let it just air dry. I'm going to move these off someplace else so that I can work on doing the same thing but with that iridescent green. Now here's my other towel. Since I do want these to air dry because I just want it to cool, I don't really want things moving around from the force of the air dryer, heat gun. There we go. Okay, so gonna get this set out and do the same treatment with the green powder. My ornaments are all dry from putting on those powders. These are the ones I used the gold on, and these are the ones that had the green. So now sorry if I'm moving around right now to grab things up, so if my voice goes in and out, that's why. I'm going to use some of this workable fixative to set those powders so that I can kind of build up layers as I go along. It has a pretty quick dry time, I think about 15 minutes, and then I'll be able to come back and work on the next layer of mediums that I'm thinking for all of these ornaments. That workable fixative is dry, so I am going to keep working here, adding some more layers, and I'm going to use some gloss gel right there and brush it on sporadically. I'm going to focus a lot on the tops here, along the bottoms, the tops here, maybe along the bottom edge, and these are the ones that had been green, or had the green put on them already. And so after I'm done with all that, I'm going to go back in where I brushed this gel on and add gold powder. And for the ones here that were done in gold, I am going to do the gold along here and along the tops as well, but I think I'm going to go back on some of it and add some of the green. I'm just basically what I'm doing is just adding another layer of those powders, but I'm going to use some gloss gel as my adhesive for them instead of just wetting them down with water. Alright, I have my surfaces completed. I haven't really done much on the back sides, but that's because of how I am planning on hanging them. The backs would, well, to me it would be just not really necessary, because I do think that the front will have enough. And even though I had considered using some of the matte wax, especially on the two that had the black gesso, I have decided against that. I really prefer all the shine that's going on right now. To me, they kind of almost look like just the vintage glass ornaments. So this is how I'm going to leave my mediums. But I also have this idea of adding just a little bit more for some reflection. And that's going to require a coat of, I think I'm going to use some acrylic gloss spray. This right here, this Mod Podge gloss. I'm going to go take these to a well-ventilated area and spray them down with this before I do my final touch, which will be using this glitter and some gel. My coat of acrylic sealer on the front is dry now, and even though I wasn't planning on it, yeah, it's dry. All that powder is set. I was just testing it. Okay. I wasn't going to add the powders to the backs, but I just can't leave them unfinished. I don't know why. So I'm just going to brush on the gloss gel and do the powders like I did on the fronts, and then spray some sealer on the back as well. And then once that sealer is set, then I think it'll be time for me to do the final touch to finish these off. And here you have it. Both sides are now nice and shiny and ready for the final touch I want to do to add just a little bit more sparkle. I am going to grab up my gloss gel and brush it on, not everywhere, but I'm going to brush it on in various densities. Some might be lighter or heavier. Basically, I want to be able to sprinkle on this glass glitter and have it catch in some areas, but not too heavy. So I'm just going to get started on that, and then once that is dry, my ornament set here will be complete. My ornaments are now completely done. I did go out and spray another layer of this Mod Podge sealer on top of that glitter glass, just to really help hold it in place. And it seems to be doing the trick. It's not like these are going to be handled a whole lot. Oh, but, and this is the other part. Sorry, I have to walk across my room. I grabbed the wrong box. Now, they can be put on some ornament hooks, and I just got these little scroll ones for, you can see, 98 cents there at Walmart. And you can hang them up on a tree, on hooks on the wall, whatever you want to do with them now. Thank you for joining us here at Tres Jolie. As always, I hope that this project gave you some ideas of what can be done with those mediums that are found in this month's kit. I used some quick set white resin and some clear resin to pour into the mold for this project, and that will just be a lot sturdier. I don't think that you could have done these in clay for hanging because the clay would be too brittle. That's just clay for you. So I did these in resin. I used all those mediums that came in the kit, used that glitter, and now I have a custom colored ornament set. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when more projects come out, and the reveal videos at the beginning of the month. Thank you, and I will see you again soon.